Can the American automotive industry survive a 25% tariff on imports? The stakes have never been higher. A potential crisis looms as President Trump's trade policies threaten not only vehicle prices but the entire supply chain that has supported the sector for decades. With Tesla's revenue projected to soar from $32 billion to $51 billion, the question arises, will other manufacturers be able to keep pace amid rising costs? In the heart of this tumult, the United States finds itself at a crossroads. The vast global trade network has been a lifeline for automakers, particularly as they've sourced key components from neighboring countries like Canada and Mexico. These nations have been reliable partners, fueling production lines in states like Michigan and Ohio. But now, looming tariffs are causing those smooth operations to falter, creating a restrictive environment fraught with unforeseen challenges. Experts warn that the fallout from these tariffs could ripple throughout the industry. As the price tags on pickup trucks and SUVs potentially increase by up to several $1,000s, what happens to the average consumer? Families may hesitate before making significant purchases, leading to plummeting demand and overflowing dealer lots. Automakers could face a double whammy, dwindling sales and soaring production costs, all while trying to navigate an uncertain economic landscape. While President Trump insists these tariffs will protect American jobs, analysts are casting doubt on that narrative. The reality is harsh. Many major manufacturers rely heavily on imported parts. If tariffs are implemented, it won't just be the final vehicles that feel the pinch. Raw materials and components, everything from aluminum chassis to electronic circuits, will also see price hikes. A potential 25% tariff means escalating costs that could reach thousands of dollars per vehicle, crippling consumer demand at the worst possible moment. With such a high-stakes gamble, the question remains, who truly benefits from this aggressive tariff strategy? As politicians paint a picture of economic nationalism, the real impact could mean layoffs and weakened job security for American workers. Can the administration convince the public that this tactic will result in more jobs and revitalized production, or is it paving a road littered with broken promises and financial ruin? In the midst of this crisis, industry experts raise a red flag. Is it too late for America's automotive sector to shift gears? The interconnected web of suppliers stretches far beyond our borders, and untangling it overnight would be nearly impossible. What cost will the American consumer pay for these policies? With car prices on the rise and inflation already lurking, many may find themselves weighing their options: wait, buy used, or simply forego a new vehicle altogether. This tumultuous landscape also compels Canada and Mexico to reconsider their roles in this drama. The Canadian government has warned of retaliatory measures in response to heavy tariffs, which could sting U.S. manufacturers who depend on imported parts. What starts as a nationalistic push could end up backfiring, creating a scenario where producers and consumers alike suffer. As the clock ticks down, the tension continues to build, leaving everyone to wonder, is this the beginning of a new automotive age or the harbinger of an economic meltdown? The automotive industry is on edge, teetering between progress and peril. With the looming specter of tariffs looming as high as 25% on imports, the fate of car prices hangs in the balance. Imagine this, a world where the price of your once affordable SUV suddenly skyrockets by thousands of dollars. Analysts warn that a 20% to 25% tariff could inflate vehicle costs between $1,000 and several thousand, affecting high-demand segments like SUVs and trucks. The intricate web of automobile manufacturing, woven from thousands of parts sourced globally, is under threat. Picture the raw materials: a sturdy engine block from Mexico, a robust chassis from Canada, electronic circuits meticulously crafted in Korea, all lined up on customs radars, each one vulnerable to new tariffs. And while the government touts these tariffs as a means to boost domestic production and protect American jobs, experts are ringing alarm bells. Increased prices may lead to decreased demand, and with it, uncertainty for manufacturers and potential job losses. Canada, a key supplier of automobile parts, finds itself in the crosshairs. The escalating tensions between the two countries bring a chilling possibility: retaliation. If Canada responds to heavy tariffs, it could escalate a trade war that reverberates throughout the automotive sector and imperils jobs and exports alike. Amid rising inflation, the domestic market is already feeling the pinch. Bank officials have warned that an uptick in vehicle prices will compel budget-conscious consumers to delay purchases or forego buying new cars altogether. Will sales plummet, leaving dealers with unsold inventory? In the midst of this turmoil, Trump's agenda appears deceptively straightforward: bolster American manufacturing, lessen reliance on imports. But does this really safeguard American workers? Experts highlight the intricate global supply chains that cannot simply be rerouted overnight. Labor costs, environmental regulations, and the need for consistent, quality supplies mean producing everything domestically is a monumental challenge. The reality is stark: if tariffs rise, production not only faces dire upheaval. Consumers, dealers, and workers may all bear the brunt of the fallout. Without necessary parts sourced from around the world, manufacturers could find themselves trapped in a spiral of higher costs and reduced output, leading to economic instability. The wheels of change are turning, but who will ultimately bear the consequences? As we delve deeper into this tangled landscape, the fallout from these tariffs could resonate far beyond mere price tags. The endurance of the American worker and the integrity of the automotive industry is at stake. And in the shadows of this turmoil lie the harsh truths of a volatile market. In the ever-evolving drama of the automotive industry, the stage is set with economic turmoil. Can the promise of protectionism actually enhance the vitality of American workers? Or could it be a smokescreen hiding a treacherous path towards higher prices and job losses? As the fierce winds of trade wars howl, new tariffs threaten to impose a staggering 25% tax on imported vehicles. This revelation sends shockwaves rippling through the industry, with $1,000 to $3,000 price hikes looming ominously over the heads of consumers. With breathtaking speed, prices escalate, particularly for SUVs and pickup trucks, vehicles that demand an abundance of metal in parts. Every vehicle's journey from assembly line to driveway is delicately interwoven with components sourced from Canada and Mexico. But now, import tariffs force a reckoning. Experts warn that as costs climb, demand may plummet. The auto market, once a booming crossroads of commerce, risks spiraling into chaos. The Trump administration argues that these tariffs will safeguard American jobs. But is this just a political band-aid masking a deeper wound? Economists caution that the fallout will not just strike manufacturers, it will ricochet through to the consumers. Families hesitant to purchase a new vehicle can hear the quiet echo of decisions delayed, while dealership lots fill with unsold cars. So, who truly pays the price in this economic gamble? As factors such as labor costs, environmental regulations, and material scarcity mount, manufacturers are caught in a precarious situation. The long-established networks that connect American carmakers with their neighbors are fracturing. It'll take years and untold investment to rebuild, but in the meantime, who suffers? Could this lead to layoffs and a market in freefall? Recent analysis reveals just how intertwined and fragile these supply chains really are. Critical components, from engine blocks to intricate electronic systems, often originate outside the U.S., particularly from Mexico and Canada. Tariffs mean those crucial parts become significantly more expensive, pushing the burden onto consumers. In an economy where every penny counts, what happens when the middle class faces insurmountable costs? Those $30,000 trucks could soon become unattainable luxuries. With inflation already tightening its grip, the Federal Reserve warns that tariffs may devastate growth rather than bolster it. As hysteria looms, can we trust that this trade strategy will lead to brighter days, or are we merely striding into a storm? The turning point is approaching, and the clock is ticking. Can President Trump's gambit truly shield American workers, or will history repeat itself with devastating consequences? In recent times, the automotive world has been rocked by escalating tensions, much like a storm brewing on the horizon. As various tariffs loom ominously, analysts warn of a dramatic surge in car prices, potentially by $1,000 to $3,000 per vehicle. This looming reality raises a crucial question: can the American auto industry withstand the weight of increased costs and maintain its competitive edge? The intricate web of the automotive supply chain relies heavily on components sourced from neighboring nations, such as Canada and Mexico. A staggering 25% tariff on imported steel or aluminum could send shockwaves throughout the market. Picture this: SUVs and pickup trucks, which require ample metal and parts, becoming significantly more expensive. Will buyers reconsider their choices, opting to wait for better days or turning to used models instead? Adding to the complexity, inflation continues to press on consumer purchasing power, leaving families pondering every dollar spent. With the Federal Reserve ringing alarm bells regarding potential inflationary pressures, the promise that tariffs will boost the economy appears increasingly questionable. How will domestic production thrive when most manufacturers, including giants like General Motors, rely on global components? Meanwhile, as critics of these tariffs argue that they only create instability, the decisions of companies hang in the balance. Short-term chaos may lead to long-term adjustments that could reshape the industry as manufacturers weigh the costs of shifting production back home. Could this renewed focus on domestic manufacturing truly protect the American worker, or will it merely bring about a cascade of layoffs and business closures? In a shocking twist, rumors circulated in early 2025 about Trump's intention to impose even more tariffs on automobiles. Reports from major news outlets warned of skyrocketing vehicle prices amid rising inflation. The Federal Reserve's stance sharply contradicted the narrative of economic strengthening, asserting that such policies would only undermine U.S. industry. How will the automotive landscape evolve in this crucible of economic uncertainty? As jobs may vanish and prices surge, one can only wonder who ultimately pays the price for a trade war that seems set to escalate. Will consumers, manufacturers, and workers all bear the brunt of the fallout, or will a different resolution emerge from the dust of negotiations? The best-kept secrets of the automotive industry are about to unfold in ways no one could anticipate. In the ever-turbulent world of the automotive industry, a brewing storm could redefine the future of car buying. Picture this: President Trump's proposal of tariffs soaring as high as 25% on imported vehicles. What does this mean? For buyers? Rising costs. For automakers? Potential chaos. And for the economy? A complicated web of uncertainty. The crisis unfolding in the United States auto sector isn't merely a financial blip, it reflects a delicate equilibrium teetering under pressure. As Tesla's revenue skyrockets from $32 billion to a projected $51 billion, the shadows of tariffs loom large. The intricate web connecting U.S. automakers to suppliers from Canada and Mexico, which has built decades of seamless trade, is now under siege. Will these tariffs protect American workers as promised, or will they backfire spectacularly? Numerous voices within the industry warn against the impending turmoil. Rising prices aren't just numbers, they carry weight. Analysts project that these tariffs could jack up vehicle prices by $1,000 to several $1,000s per car. Is that a price average families can afford? When steel and aluminum become significantly more expensive, even the simplest of vehicles might turn out of reach for many. The impact ripples through the economy, with auto dealers left with unsold stock and manufacturers halting production amid faltering sales. As Canada and Mexico brace for retaliatory moves against U.S. tariff measures, the potential for a broader trade war escalates. Imagine the deafening silence of factories halting machinery, skilled workers losing their livelihoods, and the unsettling tension in showrooms packed with cars no one can afford. In this scenario, who really wins? Can the supposed protection of American jobs truly outweigh the losses? Automakers like GM and Ford warn that higher tariffs may sap their ability to invest in groundbreaking electric vehicle technology. Their futures hinge on international supply chains, for batteries, rare metals, and other essential inputs. If disrupted, innovation itself could stall, plunging the U.S. automotive sector into a dim future. Consider the intricate paths each vehicle travels before it hits the showroom floor. 7 or 8 border crossings are often required for a single car's parts to reach assembly lines in places like Detroit. Adding a 25% tariff at every junction? The result is a disjointed manufacturing process, unpredictable costs, and potentially devastating layoffs. Even amidst Trump's insistence on protecting American interests, the reality is daunting. Experts whisper warnings, reminding us that a simple increase in car prices could trigger broader economic inflation, a vicious cycle spiraling out of control. The Federal Reserve's alarm bells ring louder with each passing day, cautioning against the illusions of economic fortification through tariffs. So, what happens next? Will the American automotive industry rally in the face of these pressures, or will it fracture under the weight of tariffs and a shifting market landscape? As whispers of job losses and economic slowdowns fill the air, consumers are left to ponder the future of their next vehicle purchase. Will the dream of owning a new car fade away from reach, leaving families grappling with uncertainty? The answers unfold like a gripping drama, leaving us to watch closely as this story unfolds. The looming threat of tariffs in the automotive world has created a pressure cooker situation. Imagine waking up one day to find that the price of your dream car has surged by thousands, simply due to policy changes. President Trump's proposed tariffs could lead to a staggering 25% increase on foreign vehicle imports, leaving manufacturers and consumers gripping their wallets tighter than ever. Will American-made cars truly become the triumph of national pride, or will these hefty tariffs backfire? Over the last 5 years, the flow of parts and vehicles between the United States, Canada, and Mexico has been a well-oiled machine, often requiring multiple border crossings to complete a single vehicle. With such a tangled web of trade, the proposed tariffs threaten to complicate everything. It's not just about thwarting competition, it's about risking the very foundation of a collaborative industry. Truckloads of heavy crude oil and vital steel are shipped from Canada, and Mexico is a crucial player in producing many components needed for American vehicles. Yet, in a bold stance, the Trump administration claims it will elevate domestic production and cut dependence on imports. In the midst of this chaos, questions arise. What happens next? Could the turbulence escalate into a major market shock or a sudden political upheaval? Analysts warn that even domestic manufacturers like Ford, GM, and Tesla rely heavily on imported parts. If disruptions occur, production lines might grind to a halt. The urgency is palpable. As lobbyists for major automakers mobilize and Congress weighs in, consumers brace for the fallout. With every indication that prices could skyrocket, will voters remain supportive of this approach, or will the mounting costs drive them to rebel against a system that seems to favor nationalism over pragmatism? As tension mounts, the future remains uncertain. Will Trump backtrack, securing a partial trade deal? Or will he double down, igniting a political storm before the 2025 elections? One thing is clear, the stakes are high, and the ripple effects of protectionism could reshape not just the automotive landscape, but the entire economy. The road ahead is riddled with unforeseen challenges, and the question on everyone's mind lingers: who truly stands to win when the dust settles in this high-stakes game of tariffs? The clash in the automotive industry is heating up. With Trump's proposed tariffs looming, the reality for consumers is dire. Imagine waking up one morning to find that the car you've been eyeing has just jumped in price by thousands of dollars. Would that shake your plans for a new vehicle? As we step into 2025, many are left questioning the future of American car manufacturing. If these tariffs are implemented, consumers might find themselves facing skyrocketing prices, prompting outrage and anxiety alike. Experts echo a daunting reality: history shows that protectionist tariffs can offer a momentary lifeline to specific sectors. But ultimately, these measures often backfire, leaving devastation in their wake. We only have to look back to Nixon and Reagan, who promised protection for American manufacturers, yet saw car prices soar. Consumers turned away, opting for imports from Japan, Europe, and Korea, which continued to fill the roads. Canada and Mexico, longtime partners supplying the U.S. automotive industry, are also bracing for impact. They're standing firm against any punitive tariffs, warning that they too will retaliate if pushed too far. This brewing storm of uncertainty places immense pressure on companies. How can they shield their markets when faced with such unpredictability? Is the dream of revitalizing domestic production achievable, or merely wishful thinking? Many economists argue that such tariffs aren't the solution, but rather a catalyst for inflation, contributing to economic instability. With the specter of rising prices hanging over consumers' heads, the stakes couldn't be higher. As we look ahead, the real question emerges: will the tariffs transform the automotive landscape in America for the better or entrap it in a cycle of hardship? The clock is ticking, and only time will reveal how the tides of trade will shift and how both consumers and producers will react in a landscape fraught with uncertainty. As these events unfold, who will truly bear the brunt of these decisions: American manufacturers, consumers, or both? Picture this. A mighty American road roaring forward, engines humming like thunder, steel gleaming under relentless sunlight. But now, shadows creep in: President Trump's looming tariffs, a 25% wall slammed against imported cars and parts from allies like Canada and Mexico. Will it protect jobs, or crush the very workers it's meant to save? Imagine SUVs climbing from $30,000 to $40,000 overnight, the sharp sting of higher prices biting into family dreams. Feel the tension in the air, thick as engine oil, as buyers clutch their wallets tighter. Are we witnessing the rebirth of American industry, or the unraveling of a global network built over decades? In the heart of the auto world, Tesla's revenue surged from $32 billion last year to $51 billion this year, a beacon of electric hope. Yet, the U.S. sector teeters on chaos from raging trade wars. On one side, a vast web of global suppliers feeds America's factories. On the other, Trump's America First crusade erects barriers. Countries like Canada and Mexico, longtime partners delivering vehicles and components without a hitch, now. In a world where trade wars threaten the very foundation of the automotive industry, tensions are escalating like a pressure cooker ready to explode. Imagine hearing the clang of metal against metal as production slows and uncertainty fills the air. This environment has the potential to reshape the landscape of American manufacturing and consumerism. The U.S. Federal Reserve has warned that if anyone believes tariffs will fortify the nation's economy, they are sorely mistaken. Analysts from major financial platforms argue that these tariffs not only falter America's industries but also reveal weaknesses rather than strength. As the stakes rise, Mexican officials echo these sentiments, cautioning that such decisions will ultimately harm everyone involved. In this fiery political climate, President Trump clings to his America First mantra, unaware that major players like General Motors and Ford are sounding alarms. They claim these tariffs are a smokescreen, calling for an investment in the future of auto manufacturers, not a regression into isolationism. Consider the shadow of history. During George W. Bush's presidency, steel tariffs sent shockwaves through the economy, ejecting thousands from jobs and threatening to drown the steel industry in its own hubris. Is history about to repeat itself? The American auto sector, already facing fierce competition from Europe, Japan, Korea, and China, braces for a chaotic ripple effect if tariffs take hold. Brands may contemplate abandoning hybrid production lines or uprooting manufacturing from Mexico entirely, but these transitions are neither quick nor cheap. It's not a mere flick of the switch. Complications arising from labor costs and logistics further muddy the waters. The notion "let's manufacture everything domestically" is but a dream, particularly in a world where global supply chains dictate efficiency and pricing. Now, visualize the stark reality for consumers. A modest sedan that once cost $20,000 to $25,000 could see its price balloon overnight to $27,000 or even $28,000. SUVs, which typically range from $30,000 to $35,000, may leap to an astonishing $40,000. The ripple effects of rising prices threaten household budgets, forcing families to delay much-needed purchases. In this precarious situation, as consumer sentiment wanes, car sales will plummet, leaving dealerships with overflowing inventories. Ironically, instead of reinvigorating the economy, these tariffs may plunge it into a recession. As trade discussions grow prickly with neighboring Canada, Trump's harsh remarks toward Mexico compound the issue. With deep-rooted automotive production ties established since the 1990s, disrupting imports would fracture these intricate networks. Can companies like Nissan, GM, Ford, and Toyota sustain operations if forced to absorb a 25% tax? The truth is that repairing the damage could take years and cost staggering amounts. Who bears the burden in the interim? It's the consumers, the dealers, and the workers who pay the price for political gamesmanship. As this automotive saga unfolds, one question lingers, as the roar of engines fades and factories empty. Will America truly drive toward prosperity or into a wall? In the previous section, we explored how economic analysts and the Federal Reserve warn against the impact of tariffs on the U.S. economy. Their perspective suggests that these tariffs would not bolster American industry but rather threaten it, echoing a pattern witnessed in the past. Now, consider this: back in 2002, tariffs imposed on steel by George W. Bush led to devastating job losses, leaving countless Americans struggling. Are we about to witness the same fate once more? The automotive industry stands in the crosshairs of global competition. Vehicles from Europe, Japan, Korea, and China populate our roads. Should new tariffs hit these imports, chaos could ensue in pricing, causing turmoil that reverberates through the economy. Manufacturers may resolve to shift production entirely to domestic soil, hopping out of Mexico overnight. However, transitioning takes time, years, in fact. This transformation isn't as simple as waving a magic wand. Complexities like labor costs and regulatory environments loom large. Can you feel the tension? The atmosphere feels electric with uncertainty. Imagine this: the price of a basic sedan, once a mere $20,000 to $25,000, suddenly leaps to $27,000 or even $28,000. SUVs, which used to cruise at $30,000 to $35,000, could skyrocket to $40,000. Even pickup trucks may see an increase of $2,000 to $3,000. For middle-class families, those asking prices could mean the difference between waiting for a better deal or abandoning their vehicle upgrades altogether. What happens next? With families hesitant to buy, dealerships could find themselves buried in unsold stock. Factories would face the grim reality of slowing production, triggering layoffs, and igniting a vicious cycle of economic downturn. Increasingly, this scenario begs the question, will the tariffs intended to protect American workers instead lead to recession? Remember, Mexico has become a significant player in automotive production in the U.S., they might say, pointing to companies like Nissan, Ford, and Toyota, which thrive on the synergies built over decades. What happens when an announcement hits that imposes a 25% tax on these imports? It's easy to forget the years of progress, yet the repercussions would unfold unfathomably fast. Will these manufacturers pause yet again and rethink their strategies as the specter of economic instability looms large? The clock ticks as the stakes rise. Who truly stands to lose in this game? Mark my words, the consumers, the dealers, and the workers with dreams on their shoulders will be the ones to ultimately pay a heavy price.